Hi, I'm Anika, and this is episode 33 of Rewrite Your Story. Today's episode is the last part of the four-part series that we've been covering on the top three challenges that are commonly faced by anybody on a path of change. Someone who might be looking to become an entrepreneur, or somebody who might be looking to progress further as an entrepreneur in their business, or perhaps somebody who is just wanting to be a change maker in their organization. In episode 30, I introduced the top three challenges, which were then tackled in episodes 31 and 32 with strategies for the top two challenges on the fear of getting started and managing the daily stresses, which are very common for anybody on a path of change. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to overcome the challenge of rising from the failures that we face on this path of change. Now, if you have chosen to be on a path of change, you are already mentally prepared or have already had the experience of various ups and downs, various rises and falls, taking a path that you haven't taken before. It is bound to have certain unknowns. It is bound to have certain uncertainties that we are not prepared for before facing them because we don't actually have the knowledge and the experience of them. You want to take a path that you haven't taken before as an entrepreneur? You want to change something on a path that you are on as a change maker? You're still going to be faced with unknowns. Our minds, however, are programmed to help us feel comfortable with the knowns. So when our minds find itself in unknown territories or in unfamiliar spaces, it causes overwhelm for us. It's not trained to deal with unfamiliarity and uncertainty. It is programmed to operate with ease and efficiency so that it reacts to familiar situations and events based on the story that it has attached to the current event and situation, familiar to something that you may have experienced or faced in the past. So when things don't work out in your current situation or your current event or on your path of change, it feels like we failed. This causes enormous overwhelm for us. We didn't get the desired result or the outcome. We feel like all the time and the effort and the planning that we put into it was just all gone to waste. We also then struggle with questions of self-doubt, of self-belief. Am I really on this path? Should I really be doing this? Maybe I'm not good enough for this. Remember episode 31? These are some of the questions that come up for us right when we start on something new. Business idea, a new process, a new suggestion, a new project in your organization, anything that you want to change the status quo on is going to come with some fears of, should I really do this now? Should I really be the one doing this? Or should I be doing it this way? What's the right or the wrong way of doing this? Yeah, we're looking for that familiarity. And when we don't have that familiarity, it causes overwhelm for us. If we are past the fear of getting started, if we are able to manage our daily stresses on this path of change, but still we do not get the desired result that is planned for on this path, it really makes us feel bad. It makes us feel like we failed. This overwhelm pushes us back to challenge number one. There it was about fear of getting started. Here it just gets transformed to fear of continuing or the fear of restarting. And what it can do, it has the power to push us back into the loop of the initial fears we had of self-doubt, self-belief, And it ends up causing more and more overwhelm and more stress for us. So let's see, how can we overcome this having to rise up from this point of feeling like we failed, or this point of like feeling we're stuck because the path we chose, the plan of action that we put down to get from point A to point B on that path did not drive the desired results. So something's wrong, but we don't really know what. And we're so clouded with the overwhelm that we're not able to pick ourselves up from this fall that we've had now. So let me cast your memory back to when you learned how to ride a bike, or if you were a video games person or an Xbox person, then how you feel or how your kids feel when they're trying to get from one game level to the next game level. You don't usually get to the next game level in the first try. It keeps getting harder, first of all. The more you progress, the less you know of the challenges that are in that game. It gets more difficult. The more you get off that first pedal on your bicycle, the training wheels come off. It gets harder. You don't usually get it right on the first time. You probably had a fall. You probably missed a step. You probably went through a particular level in a video game multiple times. But what did you have to do when you fell, or when you got eaten by a monster or fell down a pitfall in the video game and you lost that game level? You went back to that game level. Now, you didn't go to the start of the game. You went back to the point of the previous level that you had already passed. The same way, if you fell after your training wheels were off, you don't go back to putting the training wheels back on your bicycle, do you? You start off still from the point of having your training wheels off and moving forward with a better understanding of what not to do that can cause a fall or that can cause you getting eaten up by the monster on that game level. Restart is repeat. And it's the only strategy to rise and move forward. Here, I want to recap episodes 31 and 32 into this episode because it works all in a loop together. The strategies have been covered in episodes 31 and 32. Do check them out and bring them back when you've gotten familiar with being in uncomfortable and unfamiliar situations, when you've been able to manage those daily stresses, and now you need to lift yourself up from the downs and the falls that you're having on your path of change as you keep moving forward. On episode 31, we're talking about acknowledging that falling is the nature of a path of change. Accept it. Acknowledge it. Episode 32 talks about assessing where you are limited so that you can drive the desired outcome with a better and informed understanding. You can restore and strengthen your self-belief by applauding yourself on how far you have come. Remember, the path of change is not for everyone, and it is not easy. It is a difficult path, and everyone's journey is their own. So own your journey of change. Own your journey of learning. Dance with the fears and the stresses, which are the nature of the path of change. Celebrate that tension, because that means you are learning. You're putting your mind through unfamiliarity. you are putting your mind through getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So celebrate that tension. And finally, task yourself with action steps, because you do not want to anchor yourself down for too long. Otherwise, all of the work that you've put in through your path covered so far, that may go to waste. So the only way that you can lift yourself up, move away from the feeling of like being a failure, is to just take that next step forward. No matter how tiny it is, task yourself with it. Ships are meant to sail and explore. They do anchor on port for a short time, usually on a prep for a change of destination that they are bound to be on next. Ships that are anchored for too long are museums. So, your choice. You want to be a ship that sails, or do you want to be a ship that ends up being a museum? 3 steps. Step number 1, A, acknowledge that rises and falls, ups and downs is part of the path of change. Step number 2, C, celebrate the tension that comes along with it, because that means you are learning and you are getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And step number 3, T, task yourself with action steps. So act upon it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of Rewrite Your Story. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. What do you think about the content so far? Does it raise any questions for you? Have you got any experiences to share that can shed some light on some of these insights that I've been sharing on Rewrite Your Story? Until next time, take care and stay awesome.